In 2025, US airports are handling nearly 3 million passengers a day, but many travelers are getting caught off guard by a wave of new airline crackdowns and TSA rule changes. From mandatory real ID enforcement to facial recognition at checkpoints and stricter carry-on rules, flying is no longer as simple as showing up with your boarding pass. Even things like going barefoot or bringing emotional support animals are now triggering policy enforcement mid-air. In this video, we're breaking down all the major changes you need to know before your next flight so you don't end up delayed, denied, or worse. New bans and crackdowns. Number 1. Real ID enforcement begins. TSA will enforce the Real ID Act from May 7, 2025, requiring all US travelers aged 18 and older to present a Real ID compliant driver's license or another acceptable form of identification to board domestic flights and access certain federal facilities. Real ID compliant licenses are marked with a star in the upper corner. Alternative acceptable IDs include valid passports, enhanced driver's licenses, and Department of Defense IDs. This enforcement aims to enhance security by making it more difficult to use fraudulent identification, a concern highlighted by the 9/11 Commission. The DHS reports that as of April 2025, over 80% of travelers already use acceptable IDs, but approximately 20% remain non-compliant. Travelers without a real ID or acceptable alternative may face delay, additional screening, or denial of entry at TSA checkpoints. To obtain a real ID, individuals must visit their state's Department of Motor Vehicles with required documentation, including proof of identity, social security number, and 2 proofs of address. Number 2. Bare feet ban on flights. Major US airlines have implemented stricter dress codes, explicitly banning passengers from going barefoot during flights. Carriers like American Airlines, Delta, United, and Spirit have updated their policies to state that passengers must wear appropriate footwear, with violations potentially leading to denied boarding or removal from the aircraft. This crackdown addresses both hygiene and safety concerns. Airplane cabins, especially floors and lavatories, are not thoroughly cleaned between flights, posing health risks such as exposure to bacteria and fungi. Additionally, being barefoot can be hazardous during emergencies where proper footwear is essential for safe evacuation. The enforcement of these policies reflects a broader effort by airlines to maintain a comfortable and safe environment for all passengers. Number 3. Stricter carry-on regulations. In 2025, airlines are tightening carry-on baggage policies, aligning with international standards to streamline operations and reduce overhead bin congestion. American Airlines, for instance, now enforces a maximum carry-on size of 22 x 14 x 9 inches, including wheels and handles, and a personal item limit of 18 x 14 x 8 inches. Similar adjustments are being adopted by other major carriers. These changes aim to minimize boarding delays and enhance safety by ensuring carry-on items fit securely in overhead compartments. Passengers are advised to verify their airline-specific baggage policies before traveling to avoid unexpected fees or the need to check oversized or overweight bags at the gate. Additionally, the TSA maintains strict regulations on items permitted in carry-on luggage. For example, liquids must be in containers of 3.4 ounces or less and fit within a quart-sized bag. Lithium batteries are also subject to specific guidelines due to safety concerns. Number 4. Enhanced screening for medication. TSA has quietly intensified screening protocols for medications, particularly liquid and gel-based prescriptions, to balance public safety with medical needs. While passengers are still allowed to carry necessary medications in their carry-ons, whether pills, insulin, or creams, officers are now performing more frequent secondary screenings on liquid medications that exceed the standard 3.4-ounce rule. Travelers must clearly declare any such items at security, where agents may swab containers or request visual inspection. This isn't just routine, it reflects real concern. Past security gaps and smuggling attempts have led to increased scrutiny, especially as TSA adopts more advanced scanners nationwide. Although these scanners speed up processing, they also flag anomalies more easily, which means even properly packed meds can trigger extra checks. The policy hasn't changed drastically, but the enforcement is more rigorous in 2025, especially with the rise in passengers traveling with injectable treatments and custom compounded drugs. If you're flying with anything medical prescribed or over-the-counter, keep it labeled, accessible, and be ready for questions. It's not about punishment, it's about making sure what's in that vial is exactly what it says it is. TSA and airport system changes. Number 1. Facial recognition technology expanding. This technology has become a central part of TSA's push to modernize airport security across the US. What started as a pilot program is now expanding to more than 25 major airports, including LAX, ATL, DFW, and DEN. This system captures a live image of each passenger at the checkpoint and compares it to the photo on their ID. No need to hand anything over. TSA says it improves efficiency, reduces physical contact, and speeds up the screening process. But not everyone is on board. Privacy advocates have raised concerns about data security, biometric tracking, and how long these facial scans are stored. While TSA insists participation is voluntary and that images are deleted after within 24 hours according to official statements, critics point out the lack of federal privacy regulations protecting biometric data. As the rollout continues, travelers can opt out and request a manual ID check instead. Still, with fewer lines and faster processing in facial scan lanes, many passengers are choosing convenience over caution, knowingly or not. Number 2. Digital identification integrate. In 2025, the TSA is expanding the acceptance of digital IDs at airport security checkpoints, allowing travelers to use mobile driver's licenses stored in digital wallets like Apple Wallet, Google Wallet, or state-issued apps. As of early 2025, digital IDs are accepted at select airports across 14 states and Puerto Rico, including major hubs like San Diego International Airport. To use a digital ID, travelers add their state-issued driver's license or identification card to their smartphone's digital wallet. At TSA checkpoints equipped with credential authentication technology (CAT2) units, passengers can tap or scan their digital ID, consent to share their information, and have their photo taken for identity verification. While digital IDs offer convenience and enhanced security, participation is optional, and travelers can choose to present a physical ID instead. It's important to note that starting May 7, 2025, all travelers 18 years and older must present a real ID-compliant form of identification or an acceptable alternative, such as a passport, at TSA security checkpoints. The integration of digital IDs aims to streamline the security screening process, reduce physical contact, and enhance the overall travel experience. However, travelers should ensure their digital ID is set up correctly and be prepared to present a physical ID if necessary. Passenger rights and refunds. Number 1. Automatic refunds for canceled or delayed flights. As of 2025, airlines in the US are legally required to issue automatic refunds for canceled or significantly delayed flights, thanks to a new rule finalized by the Department of Transportation. Under this regulation, travelers no longer need to fill out forms, call customer service, or argue for compensation. Refunds must be processed automatically. If you paid by credit card, airlines have 7 business days to return your money. For cash or check payments, the window is 20 days. The rule also mandates reimbursement for unused services like seat upgrades, baggage fees, or Wi-Fi if those services weren't provided. This crackdown came after years of frustration where passengers were offered vouchers instead of money, even when airlines were clearly at fault. The DOT stepped in to protect consumers, aiming to restore accountability in the travel industry and ensure fair treatment. For travelers, this means if your flight is canceled or delayed beyond a certain threshold, you'll get your money back without having to fight for it. Under review, potential future regulations. Number 1. Cybersecurity measures for surface transportation. The TSA is intensifying efforts to bolster cybersecurity across the U.S. surface transportation sector. Building upon previous directives, the TSA has proposed comprehensive regulations mandating that operators of pipelines, freight and passenger railroads, and over-the-road buses implement robust cyber risk management programs. These programs require annual cybersecurity evaluations, development of incident response plans, and regular vulnerability assessments to identify and mitigate potential threats. A key component of the proposed regulations is the requirement for designated operators to report cybersecurity incidents to the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency within 24 hours, ensuring prompt federal response to potential threats. Additionally, operators must appoint a cybersecurity coordinator to oversee the implementation of security measures and serve as a liaison with federal agencies. Number 2. Changes to TSA workforce policies. In March 2025, the Department of Homeland Security announced the termination of the collective bargaining agreement for TSA employees, impacting approximately 47,000 transportation security officers. This move, part of a broader initiative by the Trump administration, aimed to enhance workforce agility and efficiency by removing what DHS described as bureaucratic hurdles. The decision has been met with significant criticism from labor unions and lawmakers. The American Federation Association of Government Employees representing TSA workers labeled the action as retaliatory, arguing that it undermines workers' rights and could negatively affect aviation security and employee morale. Lawmakers, including Senator Brian Schatz, have expressed concerns that the termination of collective bargaining rights could lead to longer airport screening lines and a greater threat to public safety. In response to these developments, the Rights for the TSA Workforce Act, H.R. 2086, was introduced in Congress. This legislation seeks to provide TSA employees with full federal employee collective bargaining rights, access to independent dispute resolution, and compensation under the General Services Wage System. Proponents argue that these measures are essential to ensure fair treatment of TSA workers and to maintain the integrity and security of the nation's transportation system. Number 3, single-use plastics. In 2025, airlines are intensifying efforts to reduce single-use plastics, aligning with global sustainability goals and responding to passenger concerns about environmental impact. Southwest Airlines, for instance, has introduced bamboo cups and wooden stirrers, aiming to cut over 1.5 million pounds of plastic waste annually. Similarly, Delta Airlines has redesigned its in-flight service items, eliminating approximately 7 million pounds of single-use plastics each year. These initiatives are part of a broader industry movement. The International Air Transport Association has released guidelines encouraging airlines to adopt sustainable alternatives and improve waste management practices. However, challenges remain, particularly regarding international regulations that classify certain waste as biohazardous, complicating recycling efforts. Despite these hurdles, the shift towards reducing single-use plastics is gaining momentum, reflecting a commitment to environmental responsibility and passenger well-being. That's all for today. If you found this video helpful, then do not forget to like, subscribe, and share the video with your friends.